And we're live once again on a Tuesday. We got a special guest. Janet, talk about our special guest.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Hi, Gillian. Hi, Sue. Sue, we're so glad to see you. And I love that pink quilt behind you.
Thank you.
That is just, and I'm assuming that's not your green screen, that there's actually a quilt behind you.
It is, and I made it. So
we'll add that to your solopreneur talent. So anyways, I'd like to introduce you to everybody that is listening in today. And first of all, you're a mom, and not just a mom of kids, you're a mom of dogs. You have a wonderful husband who supports you in your business. You live on Long Island out in Suffolk County, and you're an entrepreneur. You're a book writer, and you are the founder of Solopreneur Academy, which is an organization or a membership site for female entrepreneurs. So that's a big mouthful for you to be on, and you're doing it all by yourself. It's interesting. It's interesting because, you know, Gillian and I have been partners right from the get-go. So we don't even know what it's like to be a quote solopreneur.
Right.
So let's just start off right there. What do you like about being a solopreneur, and what don't you like?
So I like that I can be a control freak, you know, that I can do what I want. I can take projects that interest me. If I want to take time off, I can take time off. I don't have someone else telling me what to do. And I think the flexibility is huge for people who, you know, especially I think women, where we have a lot going on in our lives. So I do love the flexibility. I do love that I can change and grow. And if I decide I'm going to learn StreamYard, but, you know, I don't have to ask my boss, right? It's like, all right, I already paid for Zoom. I'm not going to do StreamYard. It works with my personality. I love that I'm home-based, and I love being able to learn. I love being able to support women. There's just so many things I like about being a solopreneur. The downside, I think, is there's a few things, not having someone to bounce ideas off of, but I also have friends and colleagues that I can do that. The tech work I find difficult. I spend this morning on with chat support at SiteGround. But so I've chosen to do a lot of things on my own, mainly for financial reasons. But the things I find hard, like the tech side of a website, you can always outsource. So I think that there are very few downsides. As I think the downside too, if you're a real people person and you love interacting and you're an extrovert and you love like having someone to bounce ideas off of, it might be more difficult for me. I'm quite happy in my own little world with my dogs and my family. And, you know, when I need help and support, I reach out.
Right. But why? So then why did you create Solopreneur Academy? Because that is a support group for other, and specifically female solopreneurs, not male. So nothing against males, but this was the path that you chose.
Right.
So why did you decide to create this academy, and what's the benefit for others, females or ladies who'd like to join you?
So I'll just back up a little bit. I had been a freelance independent writer for more than 20 years. And my last job was primarily writing for plastic surgeons. So I was trying to convince women. Well, it was more, it wasn't so much boring, but it was the fact that my job was to convince women to feel badly about themselves so that they would get plastic surgery. And I am not against plastic surgery. I think it can be a great tool if you want to look younger or whatever. I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with plastic surgery. What I didn't like was that we were targeting insecure women. So it was basically, oh, you don't feel good? Well, then why don't you get your boyfriend to pay for breast augmentation and you'll feel better? It was just very demoralizing that I think we're hard enough on ourselves, and then to be part of an industry where we were trying deliberately to make women feel badly about themselves. So I did that for a couple of years, and I just got burnt out. And I started, so what I decided I was going to do was write a book about burnout, because there really wasn't anything for solopreneurs in the burnout space. And as I was researching that book, I realized that there were a lot of things that we could do to prevent burnout. One being community, because a lot of us got lonely or we didn't have people to sort of share our thoughts with. Another one was education that was tailored specifically to female entrepreneurs, because there's so much out there, but you look at you look at Tony Robbins, for example. He has done great, but I can't really relate to him with his team of salespeople and his, huge worldwide presence. So I just wanted a community that was targeted to women. And I also wanted a space where women could feel supported and appreciated, because we're so hard on ourselves. And I just want sort of to be that nice mom to people that said, you can do this. Take a breath. Your kid is sick. It's okay. You can tell your client, you can take a week. It's okay. So those were kind of the things that I knew that would help women. And there wasn't really anything out there that I liked. And so that's why I started the Solopreneur Academy.
That's great. So that's fabulous. So your academy's been running for a while.
Yes.
So now you've just written a book.
Yes.
And you just published it very recently, which is awesome. And I have a copy of it.
Yep.
There it is. Woo! Matches your quilt. Yeah, it matches your quilt.
Those are the company colors. Yes.
A branded quilt. I love it. And I love it. I think it's like 500 and some pages. I'm glad I just have the Kindle version, because I think the real book would probably be pretty heavy for me.
It's meaty.
It's very meaty. It is. But what I love about it, it covers soup to nuts. It's like everything that you would need. And it's interesting because besides Gillian and I being partners, I'm also what's called a SCORE mentor. So I do volunteer work for SCORE, and I mentor, for free, a lot of people that are trying to start up in their business. And I actually recommend your book to all my clients, because this is what they need, and the whole thing about your book is it's not just like one area. It's very, very varied. I don't know the best way to describe it. It's holistic, as well as it's technical, as well as it's business oriented. So you kind of cover everything. It's almost like an encyclopedia, and that you can go back to over and over again, and just look at a different section for the things that you need. And that's why I think it's great. So I actually think the paper book version would be better than even the Kindle, simply because you can mark it up and you can have it on your desk and you're not going to forget it. So I'm going to, when I get back home, I'm definitely going to order the paperback version of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's good. So a couple things about the book. As I said, first of all, oh my God, there's just so much in here. I don't even know how much time that must have taken. It's like, tell me, how long did it take?
It took me 9 months. So I started it when the pandemic started. So probably in March. And at that time, Long Island was actually the epicenter. Long Island and Manhattan was the epicenter of the whole COVID situation. So while everybody else was out, partying and didn't know what social distancing was, we in New York were sheltering in place, and we really had a rough time. And I didn't know at that time what was going to happen in terms of my business, in terms of really anything. And I decided I had a whole collection of blog posts for the Solopreneur Academy. I would just string them together and I would make a book, and that would take me maybe a month or two. And it would just be a great, I'd be done when the pandemic was over in the summer, and it would just be great. And what I discovered was that is not the way to write a book. So as a ghostwriter, I've written a lot of books, and I've always started with an outline and a table of contents and, all those things that they teach you you're supposed to do. And so throwing together a bunch of blog posts and trying to put them in order just did not make a very good book. So what I ended up doing was doing that and then giving it to my editor to look at it. And he said, this is not helpful. It feels like an incoherent collection of blog posts. And then I ended up rewriting it, which took another 2 or 3 months, getting it edited again, and then doing another rewrite. And then I guess around Christmas, I started working with the designer who laid the book out, and it was published in Amazon at the end of January.
Oh, so you did hire a designer to help you. That's great. And, you know, and I think for anybody who is writing a book, I think this is important to learn, like, what are all the steps. And I remember, Sue, when you were launching the book, and we've also helped somebody else launch their book, there's a whole process in order to get your book up on Amazon.
Reviewers.
Not an easy process, but you know, you got to have your early readers, because you want to pick your right categories and all of that. So are you excited about with the results so far?
I am. I just wanted to say that it is such a case of not knowing what you don't know. So one of the many things that you have to do when you write a book is you have to get an ISBN number, right? And that's the number that the libraries and everybody use. So I was able to go in, and it's not as easy as you think setting up an ISBN number. You have to upload, you have to do all these things, and you have to choose categories. So I chose, I think, business or entrepreneurship. And then the second category I chose was reference. Because as you said, Janet, it was like, that was my vision, that it was something that's on your desk. So when the designer went to upload my book to Kindle, he could not get the worldwide distribution checkbox to check, because that does not allow you to distribute a book that is like an encyclopedia that like has little synopsis of a bunch of things. You only can do something that's all original. So I found that out, and then you have to like email Bauer. You can't just phone and ask them to fix it. So they have not gotten back to me, and it's been 2 weeks. So that's one of the things that you don't even know that you don't know.
Right, I'm sure.
And then when it came to laying the book out, there were things that I didn't know. For example, in a Kindle book, you have to format your footnotes differently than you do in a softcover book, and you can't reference certain things in the Kindle notes, or they won't publish your book. So it's just so much more complicated than I thought, and I ended up having to go through and like strip out change some of the notes. So I do highly recommend, if you're not wanting to spend like years learning InDesign and book layout, just hire somebody. I'm so glad I did that. That was money well spent.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Yes.
Well, I want to get into something that I read in the book that I thought was kind of cute. It was right sort of at the beginning of the book, and it was one of the quotes, and you said that being a solopreneur is being the captain of an extremely tiny dinghy. And it's funny, when I read that, I imagined that movie, The Life of Pi. Do you remember, with the tiger? With the Bengal tiger. And here he is, he's got the sea, right, all around him with all the waves. He doesn't have any food, doesn't have any water, and he's pushing off, trying to get this tiger to get along with him. And I kind of thought of that as a metaphor for what it's like to be a solopreneur, because, you have this vision, you want to create this business, and you go, oh, well, that's going to be easy. I just want to market X service or X product. And then somebody says to you, yeah, but you got to know how to do this, and you got to know how to do that. You got to know how to do this. And then you go, wait a minute, that's my Bengal tiger, right? But then I'm also got to deal with, like, I'm nobody in this great big sea, and how's anybody going to find me? Yeah. So do you feel that, if somebody was to get your book, and I'm putting you on the spot here, do you feel that by the end of the book that they'll have some sense of how to tame that sea and tame that tiger?
That's the plan.
That's the plan. All right.
I would hope so, because I tried not to just talk about the mechanics of, okay, well, you need a business bank account, or you need to register your name, or you need to pay taxes. I did go into that, but I also wanted to talk about some of the mindset pieces and some of the personality pieces. And that I haven't seen covered really anywhere else. And the idea that you need to set up your business to support your life. So not going back to man bashing, but I know Tony Robbins has this thing where he gets up at like 4 a.m. and he does his, swim in ice cold water and his shakes and all this stuff. And that's great. It works for him. But if you're starting a business and you've got 2 young kids, the way that you run your business is going to be so different than it is at my stage of life where my kids are grown. So I wanted to give people a sense of, look at your life and make this work for you. So if you're an extrovert, you need set up your business so you're going to networking events every day, that you're making cold calls, that you're gonna love it. For me, as somebody who's much more of an introvert, if I set up my business that required me to go into networking breakfasts every day, I would be toast by the end of the week. And the same with how you like to work. There are some people who like to, so for me, again, I like to work on one thing at a time. If I can, writing the book, I did it the best I could to just block out a week and just do nothing but the book. But there are some people who like to change their focus every hour. And, I'm not going to say, yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say there's one way to do it that's right, because what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. And the same with, you've got kids. So some people back when I was a writer and I had young kids, I did all my work on weekends because that's when my husband would watch the kids and had babysitters after school. I'm not going to tell somebody that, if you have small kids, you have to hire a babysitter and work 9 to 5. So I think that was one really big message, that look at your life, look at what you want, look at your personality, look at your resources, and then try and create a business that works for your life as it is right now. And the other thing I wanted to do was just give people the language to start their business. So like in the section on banking, or setting up your business, some people don't know what a merchant account is. What do you ask for when you go to a bank? What is accounting? How do you hire an accountant? Just stuff that, what does a website host? A lot of things that take a long time to learn. And I just wanted people to open the chapter on website hosts and go, oh, that's what a host is. What are my options in terms of hosting? And then at least they're starting with asking the right questions so they can create something that works for them.
I think that's very important. When I look at the people that I've mentored at SCORE, and I've probably mentored hundreds of them by now, and oftentimes I find that they've started off maybe on the wrong track. And part of what I do in my mentoring is help them get back on track. I've literally had some of them that have run out and got an LLC before they've even tested to see if they have a business. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, I got my LLC. And it's like, well, that's great. Well, now you've spent all this money. And I don't mean to be judgmental, but the thing is, they've now made this investment into something, but they don't have a website. They don't even have a URL yet. They don't have a domain. They don't have any social media presence. And I said, you kind of did it the wrong way,
Cart before the horse.
Yes, exactly. And then it's really hard for them to undo it. So I look at what your book does is in the sense of read this first before you go and
start here.
And then also too, one of the things that Gillian and I always talk about is, starting your business on a shoestring budget. Know what you should do for free and what you got to spend money on, and make those decisions wisely, as opposed to, you don't have an open bank account. So, you got to figure out, don't blow all your money right out the door.
Right. And I think a lot of times, there's so many tools, and I know as solopreneurs, we love tools and we use them because we're one person, but social media is a good example. You decide that you're going to post to Instagram 3 times a day. And so you go out and buy Buffer or Hootsuite or whatever the thing is. And, you're spending a couple $100s a year. And then you realize that you don't know how to make graphics. You don't know what to put on the graphics. You're too busy to do graphics, even if you knew how to do them. Right. And so then you've now got another $20 a month coming out of your bank account. So I always recommend that people do things the manual, old-fashioned way for a little bit to find out what they need. And then when you've got, it's like test driving a car, right? You don't even know what you want. And once you sort of narrow it down, then you can go test drive the car. But for a while, just take the bus. It'll get you where you want, and you're not making a big investment.
Or walk. I think that's great advice. Yeah. Take the bus first. Figure out if it's for you. Yeah. Because Gillian and I made some mistakes at the beginning. We bought some expensive programs, and then we said one of them we bought. I said, because we went to some seminar and they said, "Oh, you got to buy this. It's gonna
if you're serious about your
business. And then we bought it. So Gillian learned how to use it, and then she showed it to me, and I said, "I like it."
Yeah.
Well, we just spent all this money.
Yeah. And a lot of times you really don't know what you need. Like, it sounds good, and the idea, they do that really hard sell that you need to have this if you're going to be a serious business. And you may, but don't buy it until you need it, right. and then you know what you need. And you may decide, the example I gave, I'm not going to use Instagram. I'm going to use LinkedIn. It's better for me. I don't even need Hootsuite anymore. So I think that can save you a lot of time, and also a lot of stress, because all of a sudden you've purchased all these things you need to be a real business, and you're paying for StreamYard and you don't know how to use it. And then you just feel overwhelmed and frustrated.
Agreed. Agreed. And especially with the social media, I think that was really good in your book, because I think I remember reading that it's like, figure out where you want to be. Use the one you want. Use the one that your avatar, your ideal customer is on. And you don't have to do them all. And I think just even giving people that permission that you don't have to juggle Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, and because then you're not even doing your business anymore. You're just juggling social media accounts.
Right. And you've got to choose social media. I mean, honestly, we could have a team do our social media and still not be posting enough. But one of the things that I discovered about social media myself and with working with people is you have to like the platform you're on. So I worked with an artist for years. I coached her, and she was an illustrator. She was a photographer. She was just a great visual artist, and she did not like to write. And for years, she beat herself up because she didn't have a blog and a newsletter. Oh. And every time we talked, she would be like, I hate this. And I kept telling her, you don't have to do a blog. Like, you would be much better if you just posted pictures of your work on Instagram, or even did a blog and had it all be photos. But I think, and I know for me, I like using Facebook. I do not like using Instagram because I'm a terrible photographer. And so when I put stuff up on Instagram, I'm not as proud of it as I am with stuff that I throw up on Facebook, because people aren't, it's just, I'm more comfortable with it. LinkedIn's another one. Like, don't do Twitter if you can't think of pithy comments. Like, just don't do that to yourself. Don't do Pinterest if you don't have a visual business. And yes, all those things will help you. Don't use YouTube if you can't stand seeing yourself on camera.
Right.
You're just wasting your money, and you're making yourself feel like crap. So, you're better, even if your avatar and your customers are on YouTube and that is the right place for you to be. If you hate how you look on camera and you're not going to do it, just accept that that's who you are right now, and choose something that you can do.
Yeah. I think that's very good advice. to do that.
And just while we're on the topic of YouTube for just a second, your daughter is a solopreneur. And I noticed that you gave an acknowledgement to both your kids that they are, doing their own businesses, which is kind of cool. Another homeschooler, I might add.
Yes, yes.
And the kids are all grown up. And your daughter is a huge YouTuber, isn't she?
Yes. Yeah. She is. She has built a business on YouTube. She has, I think, about 500,000 subscribers now. And so, yes, we are a family. It's funny because we'll be like, well, mom's filming or, my daughter's filming. So we kind of, like we have to keep the dogs quiet.
The studio.
But, I deal primarily with women who are older than, say, whose kids are gone. And I think that we have it more challenging because we did not grow up with cell phones or being on video. I mean, the people that we saw, our role models were like Diane Sawyer.
Right.
The idea that I would be on video as much as I am, or you would be on video, we never imagined that. Whereas the kids in their 20s, they just grew up on this. And I don't think they have other issues for sure, but I don't think they have that fear around video that some of us have.
Absolutely. And I do commend that your book really is targeted at all ages. Like I know your target market is probably our age, but this is a book that any age you would, there's just so many fundamentals that you cover. And I thought you did an awesome job with the video marketing because that's a lot of people don't address that. So you did that really well.
And the book is for both genders too. I mean, even though I deal primarily with women, it really was meant to be a resource for anybody who is starting a business. And that was one of the things I had to do, was because all the blog posts were based on examples for women, was go through and, add some men.
Oh, make it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Hey, Gillian, can you show everybody how to find her book?
Sure. So let's see if I can do the share screen. There we go. Ta-da. So the book is at Amazon and it is Solopreneur Success, How to Plan, Create, and Run a One-Person Business. I got the Kindle version, but there is also a paperback version as well. So pretty exciting stuff. And we'll put the note in the I guess it's the show
link. We'll put an Amazon link to the show. Oh, look at that!
Yeah.
Look at that!
Look at that! So
oh, Gillian, you just use some fun tools. That's the other thing, is just learning some of these fun tools. I think that's why we're really liking StreamYard. All the fun things that we can do with it. That we love Zoom. Don't get me wrong, but we do love some of the flexibility and the creativeness that StreamYard offers us. Yeah. So. Well, we're learning how to use it.
And I think each tool is upping the game. So it's like, as you get one tool that's doing something, then that causes, nobody's sitting around eating bonbons anymore with businesses. They're just like, okay, wow, we better learn how to do these things and virtual backgrounds. And no, it's all getting kind of cool stuff now. So exciting.
I do say in the book that, I started 25 years ago, and I think it's so much harder now, because back in, we all lived in Phoenix at the same time, and my marketing was a Yellow Pages ad, and that was it. And then I sent a newsletter to clients every 3 months, and I belonged to one networking association. So my time spent marketing was, 3 minutes a week or something. It was nothing. It was just nothing. And now it is so overwhelming, because really, just even having to maintain a website, even doing to create and maintain a website, and then you add on social media, it's just create bots. People are adding bots to things. You want chats, you want this. It really is, I think, much more challenging now than it was back in the old days when we, just used the Yellow Pages in our business phone.
Absolutely.
I know. Now you got to learn about Facebook ads and funnels.
And they change it. Like that's
yes, they do. They're constantly changing. And then they say, well, we have a program and it's going to do everything for you. But now I got to learn that program.
I just went into I use Kartra for the back end of the Solopreneur Academy, Kartra. And I went in the other day to just post something real quick, and they had totally redesigned the membership ad. And I didn't even know how to add, like I was trying to add an event we had, so I was trying to add the videos and the recordings. They totally changed it. I couldn't even figure out how to add things. So that's the kind of stuff that I find really difficult. Or you go onto your Facebook business page and all of a sudden you have to like upload the photos from a directory. You can't just, download them from Kartra or whatever, or download them from Canva. It really, the breathtaking speed of change is amazing. It's just amazing.
It is. We have to be nimble.
Yes.
We have to be nimble. And I never thought at my age that I'd have to be nimble, but I do. It's good. Nothing's changed in that regard. So we're not resting on our laurels, that's for sure. So anyways, Sue, any last minute comments, thoughts, or anything that you'd like to share with us before we end this session?
I think that recognizing that running your business is a process, and we get better, we keep trying, we make mistakes, we pick ourselves up, we try again, and that is part of the process. So I think it's really unrealistic to expect that you're going to register your domain name and get your business account and then you're going to be Tony Robbins, right? We're not. We're learning, and we need to learn the basics so we can up level. So you guys, if you didn't know Zoom, then you would have a harder time with StreamYard. So I think we need to be patient with ourselves as we take baby steps and just evaluate, is this where I want to be? Is this working for me? If it's not, you don't have to sit with it for the rest of your life. If Instagram isn't working, then don't do it. Or if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. So I think
something else.
That's really important, that we're just being gentle with ourselves and really recognizing this is a journey, and I think some people are on a journey where they become like a yoga teacher. They're on a spiritual journey. Other people, become whatever masters in karate or something. Our journey is being a solopreneur. And so a lot of the things that we learn along the way have to do with our emotions and dealing with failure and resilience and all those things. And we just have to accept that that's the journey we're on. It's not going to be linear straight up. We're going to have dips and falls and failures and successes. And then the other thing is, speaking of successes, just to celebrate our successes. That's something that I don't do nearly enough, but the idea that we don't have someone saying, you know what, Sue, good for you. You wrote a book. Like, nobody has said that to me, or well, you guys kind of have, but I had to do, it wasn't like I had a publisher that gave me a book launch party, or, my kids were overjoyed. Like, it was just kind of meh. And so that's on me to really celebrate the things I do well. Because then when I do stuff that's like not so good, I've at least created that positivity and that ability to really go, you know what? I did this well.
And it's nice. Go ahead. And it's nice to have it, and it's nice to have a community of, allies that are your sort of like cheering squad that will celebrate. Like, I remember when I saw your book got to number, you got to number 1 when it first launched, and it was just like, I was proud, I was excited for you, and it was just like, I remember seeing it and I screenshotted it and I said, wow. And it's nice to have, I think, those people that are there to help celebrate with you, because it's kind of hard to do a happy dance on your own. You need to have people.
And your screenshot came in. It was the evening here. I think it was like 8 or 9 o'clock. We were watching TV. I didn't even want to check because I didn't want to be, 1,150 out of 1,150. And it didn't really matter. Like, I'd done the best that I could. So where I was in Amazon's downloads it didn't matter. But the idea that, I was number one in freebie downloads in women in entrepreneurship. And I was it was a big win. Yeah. And I was so excited. But without you sending that to me, I would never have known because I didn't want to check.
Yeah. Yep. It's important to have the
hence your Solopreneur Academy, where you can support each other. So that's good. Well, Sue, this has been awesome. We got to kind of wrap this up. It's 35 minutes. We usually stop about 30, but this has been a great conversation. And
absolutely.
Hopefully a lot of people that are watching it now or who will watch it later will have found some really good nuggets of information here. And so we'll make sure that we put in the show notes how to find you if they would like to look at your Solopreneur Academy and see if that's something for them, for women. And then also about the book, and
for everyone.
Men like pink, men wear pink shirts. So I don't think any man would be afraid to buy a pink book.
Thank you, ladies. I so appreciate you having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sue. We appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.